Like Lance was a big part of that.
So like, yeah, I definitely think we're gonna get through all that. Um, so like, what happens after high school then? Do you go into Cegep with any ad? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up at that point? Like, what are
So
you thinking?
for me, I'm not to, a lot of people hate on the zodiacs, not to hate on the zodiacs, but like, I'm a Libra, and I say I'm very indecisive. And looking back on, I could never make a decision about something. So I used to draw a lot, hence why for me it was easy to turn that art into cakes, because like I just have like a natural creativity to like to draw or to like create art and stuff, like, because art is so vast. But I thought about maybe doing interior designing, or like, just like drawing plans and stuff, because I helped my parents kind of like design their kitchen remodel, and the addition that we had like a cold room in the back, and they kind of wanted to enclose it and make it a balcony. And my stepmom couldn't really explain to the contractor what it was. So I had it all designed. Like I did it, and he was able to create it. Like I literally made that. So I was just like, this is interesting. I could do this. So I thought that my natural talent, and I went with it, but not realizing that like I can have that natural talent in so many different aspects. So I just started doubting myself. As like, what am I going to do? Because like there's so many things that I feel like I could be good at, because I just learn things. I love to learn new things all the time. So I always say jack of all trades, master of none. But like the actual real saying of that is because like even though like a jack of all trades is a master of none, like he is still like better than the master of one. Like, so it's interesting, because I'm like, I like to learn everything, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to like an open house at like LaSalle College for one thing, for fashion design. I did another one for interior design at Dawson, I think. And like this, just like I was there, and I just didn't feel it. Like everybody was looking so excited and all that, and I'm just like, I don't have the same excitement for this stuff. And then like, I have to have like I want to be able to like learn, and I can do that only when I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And I'm just like, ugh. So I went into Vanier. I did communications. Um, and it
Arguably,
was like a
okay.
very
Can you
passive.
break down what communications is? It's one of those courses where like it sounds like it's inherent, but it's not inherent what the fuck communications is. So unless you've gone through communications, it's just like one of those vague,
It's
foggy
basically
ones.
like, because like everyone does social studies, right? So everyone gets into social when they don't really know what they're doing, just as a basic, right? Like just to have a basic education. It's basically like social studies, but like think anything like journalism, communications, videos, radio. It's more on like a technical aspect. So it gives you a lot of access to having classes that were centered around music, or, photography, sculpting. Like that. So it is more the creative side of just being at school and being in books all day and learning about like social studies of people. Like, I kind of just went that direction, because the classes were more appealing to me, to not feel like it was school. Just if I was going to take classes, do something that I would like
So,
to learn.
so arguably, people who took communications back then are fucking valuable today.
Oh yeah, because like if you want to be a journalist, you take communications in CEGEP. If you want to be a video editor or work for like you, that's the one that you take, because it gets you more experience going up to college. I mean to university after, if you're going to take another course or something like that.
So that's dope. So did you get to work on anything fire while you were in Cegep?
Um, One of my favorite sculptures I've ever made was a headless mermaid, that she's just kind of perched up, and she's like topless, and has like it was painted white porcelain, and then the tail was green. I'm like a huge fan of like Little Mermaid, Disney and stuff. So that was my sculpture that I made, and it was beautiful. I don't know where it is to this day, but I have a picture somewhere in my phone, like deep in the archives of the iPhone iCloud library somewhere. But yeah, that was one of my favorite things that I ever did, in Vanier. We also did a wire. I did a wire sculpture where you just had to like twist wires to kind of like do that. That one was pretty cool too, but it was annoying to make. But I really enjoyed just being hands on, and like I actually wish I took the photography class, because I didn't take it. I did more like I did more like studies about music, and I did psychology of sexuality and relationships one time also there, which was very interesting, like very like kind of outside of the realm of like the norm at the time. So that was really fun to take, like, because I was just like, how much, like, I didn't really want to go into psychology, but it was just, I find for me, having the psychology of sexuality and relationships was kind of like a kind of good understanding, because like we have like terrible sex ed in high school and stuff, you know? So.
But that's wild. I didn't realize communications was like so vast, but this the idea that it gave you access to a bunch of shit that turned out to be like what you need to be an influencer.
Yeah, literally. Literally.
Back then it was probably one of those, what the fuck are you going to do with these fields? And it just go, well, I mean, no, journalism and shit, eh?
Yeah.
No, it was like really legit.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's why I felt like that for me was going to be and it's interesting because like at the time I picked that because I felt like that was going to be the easiest thing for me to just breeze through school without having to pay too much attention to it, because I'm naturally interested in those things. But now looking back, I always said if I wasn't like doing cakes or whatever, or not even that if I wasn't doing cakes, it's just if I knew how much I liked digital media at the time, I would have totally refocused. Like I would have gone into like movies, like, you know, like just kind of like on like producing like behind the scenes, that stuff. Like that's my shit. Like that's my shit. Like if I knew, but I feel like they don't set us up to know what the hell we want when we're going into Cegep. It's terrible.
Like I think half the problem though is you don't know what the names are for any of the jobs. And if I remember the Cegep book correctly, and it's probably like the university one now, it's a bunch of programs that list a bunch of jobs, and you do a bunch of fucking quizzes that tell you a bunch of lists of shit with no definitions to anything, and then you're just supposed to either know some shit or figure it out. Like I don't really think the system's all that clear to get to like specific nuanced jobs outside of like retail and manufacturing. Like pretty much everything that like honestly, I work in social media and community building. There's not even like really shout out for the follow X Raider. See, it's like addictive.
Yeah, right.
But there's not even like really a course for what I do. There are just courses within other programs that like maybe touch on some of the nuances, because we're making it up as we go along in some cases. But some of these programs turn out to be really interesting and how they're beneficial. So I'd highly recommend communications.